Hi, everybody. Monday on Astral Oracles. I'm glad you're here with me, and it's delightful to be able to share some of these experiences that I'm having and relate them to others. And hopefully, there's something worthwhile or at least slightly amusing in what I'm about to tell you. Because if you recall an earlier video I did last month, I'll put the link below, about 5D birthing and entering a new lifetime in this upper realm, then that has been going on. So partially my experience of energy is shifting. It's simply like the flow of prana is different, and it is as if it has a different texture, where the other textures are contained within them, and it is almost like an operating system that it can run new stuff that I'm not quite aware of yet, and it can run the old stuff, but it can often do it in faster and more optimized ways. So it is as if I'm seeing the 4D in a different way, and I've also been having dreams about how books look in the fifth dimension. And that is my wise friend Carolyn in Oregon relayed to me that she had also seen the shape of these books in her dreams. So it does seem to be a vision that appears, and they're almost like spheres of living mantra. And and when they write these works up there, they sort of create in our reality entire like resonances or total phenomenon, such as a religion like Islam or something like so. So it really is like a very powerful way their symbols are bending reality around it. So there isn't that same delay effect between intention and word and manifestation, which we experience here. Another thing they have been teaching me, which I was relaying to Mandy in the recent conversation we had also about these patterns of 12 and 7, and I've cracked the meaning of the 42. If you are aware, that's the ongoing joke, or one of them in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, is like the 42 is the meaning of life, and nobody has been able to explain why that is. I've come up with it because see, I failed to count the one, so the cycles are 1, 7, 12, and then the one is added again. So in that way, you get up to 20 for a kind of complete personal cycle, and then to 21 for a complete spiritual cycle. So you see 7 plus 12 is 19, right? And then if we add 1 to, then it's 8. And then if we add 1 to it's 21. And if we add 12 again, like another cycle, then to the 21, we get to the 33. And that's then where the new cycle of puberty awakening is sort of slated or scheduled to begin. And that might happen at other times in your experience, but this is when it happens for most people in life. And then notice then that what that is the 42 is of course the 21 plus 21. And this was the very first synchronicity, number synchronicity, that began hounding me right after my Kundalini symptoms began, where I would constantly see 12, 12 or 21, 21 mirrored in clocks and places. And what it is that in these 5D mathematics, they're describing the processes both in different base sets and numbers, which supplement each other. And that's to bring out the differential pattern. So if you're looking for where the 5 is, that's in the differential pattern between the spiritual and the physical, the 12 and the 7. But you will also find that they're also doing a more advanced thing of what we're doing with the 1 and the 0, which is again 4D binary experience, where they're calculating or perceiving it both as negative and positive, as shadow and light description at the same time. And that was, of course, one of the very, very great, beautiful, clear epiphanies of the 4D was the discovery of the 0 and negative numbers, and that entire revolution of the mind, and what we became able to do with that. So they're working in these scales with different base sets. So there's both the natural numbers, like the proportion of 1, but there's also these divisionary scales of 7 and 12 that are measuring them out at the same time, and they then have like a counter position to each other. So every time one is adjusted, the other also adjusts itself, and they perceive it that way. For them, it would be weird only to describe not the, let's say, the dark spaces that configure the bright space, but only the manifest spaces as we do. So those are the 21 and 21 that are interacting and then adding itself up to 42. So that's the 5D vision, mathematical vision of reality. Now, before I go on to relate the next thing, then notice what it is that I'm sort of gathering or picking up here, because it's curriculum. It's like it's what's it called, like preschool or elementary school content. So it's actually being taught new stuff in this new vibrational reality of knowledge that exists on a higher level. And it's been bothering me a little, because I'm used to being at school. That's something that I know how to do, and I kind of get the feeling that I'm a little bit of a dunce up there, because it's so confusing and I don't know, and I've never done that before. So just getting the mathematics right, for instance, of those proportions. Or learning how they write their symbols, because that's also something that I've been seeing as and experiencing and connecting to light language, that I see Arcturian writing, and it is written out as these five dimensional, like they're sort of suspended in space, and then you can walk around them and see them from all sides, and then they're often created from kind of geometric symbols and squiggly lines, but look kind of alive and pulsating. And when you combine series of these, you get this type of creative technology that can radiate and manifest into our reality. So that's kind of the school board curriculum that I've been taking, and it's a little hard keeping up, but it's also very interesting. And I think my exact suspicion or idea of it is the lifetime that I'm actually then connecting to and sort of experiencing is Umblam, my Arcturian guide. So again, like this sequence of when we come into our own in this lifetime, we seem to tap into a lifetime somewhere else that's also then connected to somehow what is essentially us. And that is it's just such a fascinating experience to be able to relay, because then the final thing that I've realized is, what is the mushroom. And a thing that often permeates and puzzles people about the mushroom experience is that it seems to have this kind of intergalactic, interspecies interface about it, where often you'll have these visions of alien planets, alien species, knowledge that seems stored in there in that trip, that's coming from a different experiential range. And my ideas of it have been that is this a kind of intergalactic telephone, or what happens? Is it because we link up neurologically to a kind of space that's shared? But the mushroom is a community temple for the galaxy, which the Arcturians built before they left the physical. And it has to do with races, seed races, at least these 12 humanoid races that we are a part of which the Elohim are the architects, the Lions are the explorers, the Pleiadians are the warriors, the Syrians are the healers, the Arcturians are the priests, and we are the lovers. Um, so we're the ones who embody, Freya, Ishtar, Venus, that energy in us. And all of us will leave a type of physical creation or legacy behind that is accessible for other species than ours. And so the Syrians, for instance, they transmit these healing codes, frequencies, information from their home star, and has embedded that, so it's available for assistance, help, transformation, and healing when we want to. But the Arcturians built the mushroom, and I mean they physically constructed it. They figured out, I think it's a 4-phosphoro dimethyltryptamine, um the molecule, which it operates on, and it's a very, very strange chemical structure that doesn't exist anywhere else in nature, and which stabilizes the DMT frequency and makes it physically able to lodge in the mushroom. And there, of course, it's what's called a prodrug, so it doesn't have an effect, but it breaks down into psilocin, which then has an effect. So they sort of created this stable, mutable, organic thing that could move along both in the blank reaches of space, but also through meteorites and stuff, make itself arrive at other worlds and grow itself there. And there build this temple of information and communion and holiness. So notice it is actually a physical space that you can enter into and align your nervous system with. So that's something they've been telling me, and that's because they, of course, are that priestly class. So why wouldn't they build a healing chamber for people to enter into? So those were some of my reflections on what's going on up there in the 5D with the Arcturians, and then I think we need to channel them and Umblam to get some insights on it. So I hope that served you, and that you're going with the flow and flowing upwards and onwards out there. I send you my love. Hello, friends. This is your friend Umblam, coming from the ninth dimension. Well, this is usually where I communicate to you from. That is, I come forward and I speak on behalf of our shared collective consciousness. And once you've made the connection, you can't truly sever it again. But I am this day also restricting my sphere and my limitation of my identity and my presentation of myself to better encapsulate my own personality, my specific configurations, what it was like being me in my lifetime as a physical being. What puzzles my dear friend here is that he's aware of the information we have given him, that I am approximately 3.2 billion years old, and that our home planet hasn't sustained any kind of life form similar to ours for over 2.7 billion years. And yet he is experiencing as if this past lifetime was his next lifetime. Yes. And see, here again is the sequence of vibration or oscillation. It might be easier for you to understand this in terms of music. So consider a theme or even a refrain as a type of base point which the composition flows from and returns to. And this is much alike to the frequency points or arrangements of your soul configuration. Meaning that even though you do create your own reality, the question is, of course, can you create your own reality with nothing? Can you play a melody if there's nothing to play it with and nobody to play it to? In that sense, there's always instruments at hand, and those instruments might be past, they might be future, they might come from the upper realms, or they might move from the lower realms. Sometimes they might be born out of simple ingenuity. Other times they may be deep inspirations or intuitions which you follow. But these are all within the soul group, the soul frequency. And therefore they are, as such, united in their examination of a project. And so even though my dear friend here, also my counterpart, who brings human experience to my life, even though he finds that it's difficult attending school, where he's supposed to learn things in modalities and realities, complexities, which he hasn't adapted to. But it's continuing an ongoing theme, which is to behold the moving order of the whole. And this is a theme which our soul is always carrying through, to attempt to bring dynamism into what is static, to attempt to make living what is inert, to animate. And so this swelling up of soul, which he experiences as a new type of energy, this is animation. What we mean is it brings vitality. It brings restoration, refreshment. Into layers which may have grown stale or be difficult. So he has also been pondering why it is that he is so drawn to, preoccupied with studying things which are ancient, and preferably as ancient as possible. But see, the more ancient the more still, the more immovable, the less directly active a thing has become. And yet, if it is there to be experienced, it is still a part of the unprocessed fabric that can be moved and shall be moved in order to stir the whole and make life itself flow. And therefore, going back to these realms of lost time, these ideas of lost art, these visions of prophecy, of what is to come, it is a revitalization. Consider then what it is you are revitalizing. What is the pattern which is both stale, oppressive, and challenging in your life, but arrests you, confronts you, and beckons you to engage with it? Because this is often the theme. This is how you detect your specific Olympic game which you laid out for you. What is your discipline? What is your challenge? And there are many schools you can go to, many places you can be educated. Our friend here has been a little confused about the place he was receiving this knowledge, and I can inform him that it is more like a cathedral school or Brahminic instruction. It is more like the passage of sacred knowledge than it is similar to your idea of public education. Meaning that this is not forced on anybody, that you are also driven by, moved by your inner talents, and these drives within you, forces seeking completion through your being, we see them quite clearly in five-dimensional reality. And therefore we know when things are in place and when they are askew. And we also know when they are askew to move into place, and when they move out of place to begin to disharmonize. So it is this idea of balancing the two flows, of making proportion adapt. And a final lesson we can add, our friend here, trying to comprehend the mathematics which he is now experiencing from my childhood perspective. He will get it right, I will get it right at some point. But you will see that where your base is then 1 and 0, this couple, what has been presenting itself to our friend here is the 1, which implies the 0, but which also implies the 2, just as the 2 implies the 1. And so here you have the perfect numerology of the 0 containing these, and then the 1 and 2 adding up to 3. In that way, you arrive at the perfect scale. And you are a perfect scale. You are a melody which was composed of living light and matter, of love and spirit, of soul seeking to be free by being all that it can be. And with that, I, Umblam, on behalf of the Arcturian Council in the ninth dimension, on behalf of myself as a being who was once incarnate and who still holds love for all things in his heart, I send you my deep love, my appreciation, and my blessings to you, sweet human beings. Farewell. I I hope that served you. Much love to you out there, guys.